already checked. This is going out live stream. So we are immortalized from now on in the digital internet. Isn't that exciting? So if you speak out of turn, we'll all know forever. You can watch it on Facebook. You can do it right now on your phone, log on to Facebook, and you can see yourself. You me? Not much to watch.
Is it still streaming?
Yes. Not Zoom, stream.
Yeah. I don't know how you stream.
Trust me, I don't know either, but I did press all the right buttons up there, so something worked. All right. Shabbat Shalom. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a service. I'm going to talk to you about the Torah portion. We're going to finish the service. And then we have kosher wine in little cups so we can all say Kiddush socially distanced, but right here in the room. After last week, and Debbie came up with the idea. She goes, why can't we set up little cups along that long bar so everybody can just come up and grab one, and it's kosher wine, and it's not yet. So you can thank Debbie. She's the brains behind the operation. So, you know how I always begin. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, hine matov. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, umana, hine matov umanayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. You know that. Hine matov umanay. Oh, that you know. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Now the same thing, a little more upbeat. Yaidai, yadadadadai, hine matov, yaidai, yadadadadai, umanayim, yaidai, yadadadadai, shevet achim, yaidai, yadadadadai, gam yachad. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, hine matov. Same words. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, umanaim. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, shevet achim. Bim bam, biri biri bim bam, gaham yachat. Good. Now, I'm going to have to move. I never stood behind the shulchan when we were at Betham in the building. And now I have to, because if we're not mic'd, the people out in the internet world can't hear us. Let us turn to page 12 in your Siddur. We're going to do the first 3 lines and the last 3 lines. Maybe I can do this with holding my book. Yedi nefesh av harachaman משוך עבדך ארצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו היה ישתחווה אל מולך. Where's she going? דרך It might not work. דרוב לו ידידותך מינו I told you she was the operation, she was the brains behind this. Mino fetso v'chotam ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. It's Hebrew. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Last verse. Higalena ufros chabibi alai et sukat shelomecha ta'ir aretz mivodecha nagila v'nismecha bach mehararuv kiva moed. V'hanenu ki me'olam Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la. Yana Shalom Aleichem, right? Page 16. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu nil shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I think I should mention to those watching out there, whoever you may be, we are all masked in this room, and I am masked because at Congregation Betham we have temporarily reinstated a mask mandate due to what is going on in the outside world. It's gotten a little more dangerous. So, if you're afraid to show up, don't be afraid. You can stay masked and you can be socially distant. So I don't know to whom I am speaking out there, but there's no reason not to come in here. And so much for that announcement. But they might not know. They might be sitting at home going, I don't want to go in public because they're not masked. And extra bonus points for anyone who shows up wearing an Iron Man mask, because that would be so cool. I would let you come in wearing an Iron Man mask, even though it's really not medically appropriate. But I think that'd be really cool. My opinion, discount accordingly. Turn to page, I can't see it, 30. 30. 2 lines up from the bottom. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Now we're going to do it again, and you're going to do your part louder. And everybody out there live streaming, I want to hear you too. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. That was better. Not great, just better. On page 34, Mizmor LeDavid. We are going to do this to the Friday night tune because I have great faith that you know it. Don't disappoint me, please. Mizmor LeDavid. Chavul Adonai b'nei Elim. Chavul Adonai kavod va'oz. Chavul Adonai kevod shemo, hishtachavul Adonai bechadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod irim. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai b'koach, kol Adonai behadar. Kol Adonai shover arazim. Vayishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon veSirion, kemo ven re'emim, Kol Adonai chotzev lavot esh. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yechol el ayalot. Vayechesof ye'arot. Uvechalo kulo. Kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav. Vayeshev Adonai melech liolam. Adonai oz le'amo yiten. Adonai yivarech et amo bashalom. Now we come to the Chadodi. And if it were not raining, I would suggest we march out to the outskirts of our town to welcome the Sabbath Queen. But it is raining, so we will not do that. We will stay here in the building. We will do every other verse. It's going to change every week, depending upon who's on the bima. We will do every other verse. We will use a traditional tune, much to my discontent, but I know you all know it, and I'm sure somebody out there live streaming knows it too. Of course, you know what to do when we get to the last verse. We rise, we face the door to the sanctuary or the auditorium, and we bow appropriately to welcome the Sabbath bride. Got it? Good. I love response. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, hishmi'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet v'li tehila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzei mitoch hafecha. Rav lach shevet b'yemek habacha, v'hu yachamol aleichem la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Turning the page. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori. Uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Ve'ayulim shisa shohosaich, ve'rachaku kol mevaich. Yasis alayich Elohaich, kimsos chatan al kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. We rise and face the door. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvtzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Please be seated if you are standing, here and at home. Okay. For those, everybody here knows, for those who might not know, the purpose of all of these introductory songs is to get the outside world, put it aside. We had some people had very busy days, some people worked after 5. You still got work on your mind, put it away. For the next half hour, put it away. Because before we start the formal Ma'ariv service, we want to get in a different frame of mind. So hopefully you have sung along, hopefully you have responded. And if you haven't, it's your fault, not my fault, because I tried. With that, we begin the formal Ma'ariv service with the Baruch Hu on page 50. This is east. I know, that's east. So, for certain parts of the service, we rise and we face east. This is one of those parts. So, we rise. This is what I call Jewish aerobics. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. And we do Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed, hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher. Let us read responsively Ma'ariv Aravim in English in the middle of page 51. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the dusk of evening.
Your wisdom opens the gates of dawn. Your understanding regulates time and seasons.
The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will.
You create day and night. You alternate darkness and light.
You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other.
We call you Lord of heavenly hosts. You are our living God.
May you rule over us as you rule over nature. Praised are you, our Lord, who brings the evening dusk. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimoch aleinu le'olam va'ed, baruch ata Adonai, hamariv aravim. Avat olam beit Yisrael, amravta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, B'shochbenu v'kumeinu, nasiach berukecha, v'nizbar b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, u'vahem nege yomam v'layla. V'yavadcha tasim mimeni le'olamim, baruch ata Adonai. Ohev Amo Yisrael. We turn to Shema V'Yahavta on page 54. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele. Asher Anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha b'derech, u'shoch b'chol uv'kumecha, u'kshatam liot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtaftam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. If you look at the bottom, you'll see it says Deuteronomy chapter 6, it looks like, verse 4 to 9. Guess what Parsha that shows up in? If you guessed this week's Parsha, you guessed correctly. We'll get to that in a minute. Pardon? And you actually studied it? Because we're probably not going to do a Torah service tomorrow. But that's a different discussion. We turn now to page 60. We will read English responsively up to who is like you. And then we're going to switch over to the Hebrew because you all know the Hebrew. True and certain it is that there is one God incomparable, and that we, the household of Israel, are God's people.
It is God who redeemed us from the mighty tyrants, delivering us from slavery and freedom.
Great are the things which God has done, with wonders which are without number.
Delivering our ancestors from Egyptian bondage, inspiring hope and faith in every generation.
May God continue to protect our people and guard all humankind from disaster.
When the children of Israel beheld God's might, they gave thanks and praise to God.
They accepted God's sovereignty willingly and sang in joyous thanksgiving.
Moses and the children of Israel proclaimed in great exultation.
In Hebrew. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohorat ilot oseh pele, shira chadasha shivku geulim, לשמחה שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Where are we? We're at Hashkivenu. We're going to skip Hashkivenu. But we are going to go to page 64 and do Vishamru. And I expect everybody's participation. We will rise for Vishamru. You do not need to face east at this point. And you all know it, and I want to hear it, because I'm going to not sing it sometimes. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. I'll do this part. בני ובין, or you do this part. בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחייתך בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם מעולם מיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשא לעילא מנקה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירם בעלמא ויאמרו Amen. The Ma'ariv Amida for Shabbat can be found in your Siddur on page 69. The Ma'ariv service Amida is chanted silently. So when you have completed your personal devotions or the Amida, you may be seated. Most of you are very quick prayers. Anyway, turn back to page 74. And I know Lynn knows this on the violin. I don't know if she sings it. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב, ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, על כל יושבי תבל תשים לעולם. וכל בעיניך לברך את עמך בשלום. I missed my say. Let's go back to them. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב, ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, על כל יושבי תבל תשים לעולם. וכל בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב, ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, על כל יושבי תבל תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Now, we turn to page 82. While we do not recite the Amidah out loud, we do, in fact, we're going to go back, to page 80. We do Vayachulu, and we do Magen Avot. And I won't embarrass Debbie by calling her up to chant Vayachulu, but that comes from the Parsha Bereshit, and she has chanted it many, many times from the Torah because it was my son's bar mitzvah portion. Anyway, if you want to know what the Torah trope is, it's on the inside back cover of your Siddur. Vayachulu hashamayim ve'aretz v'chol tzava'am vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i. Thank you, dear. Melakto asher asa vayishpot bayom hashvi'i makol melakto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto kivo shabbat makol melakto asher bar Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah El Elyon Konei Shamayim Ba'aretz. This is where you join in. Magen Avot Bidvaro Mechaye Metim B'Maharo Ha'el HaKadosh en kamohu, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו. כי בם רצה להניח לכם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד ביראה וחסד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעין הברכות. אל ההודעות, אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה, לימי קדושני עונג, זכר למעשה בראשית. We're on page 84. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, רצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. סהבנו מטובך, ושמחנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת. והנחילנו, אדוני אלוהינו, באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך, וינוחו וישראל, מקדש שמך. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מקדש השבת. Kaddish Shalem on page 86. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei Rabba, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayichonu v'yomeichonu v'chedechol beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kari v'yimeru. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam olal me'olam maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbohar v'yitroman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalosh me'nekurishah. Le'elam min kol v'chata v'shirata v'shachata v'nechmata damiram v'yalam v'yimeru. Tika bat lo tonu vatahun de khoyes wel kodomo vahun di vishmaya v'yimeru. Yehi shlama rabba min shmai v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is a little warm in here, isn't it? No, I'm only talking to her. Only talking to her. Only talking to the people in the front row. This is the Shabbat for the second Parsha in the book of Deuteronomy, and it carries with it a special name. 5,000 bonus points. That anybody who can tell me what this Shabbat is called. It's Shabbat Nachamu. Nachamu. Because it comes from the Haftarah. The first two words in the Haftarah are Nachamu, Nachamu. Anyway, and that's what we are going to discuss. Because whenever I give a Devar Torah, I really struggle to make it relevant to Betham, which is not an easy thing to do. But this one works. So stay with me for a few minutes. This is not long, but tell me if you don't disagree that this one belongs to us. Okay? The Shabbat immediately after the 9th of Av is called Shabbat Nachamu, the Shabbat of comfort and consolation. Now, before I go on, there were 3 Haftorahs leading up to Tisha B'Av that were very dire. We now start 7 weeks of increasingly optimistic Haftarot leading up to Rosh Hashanah, correct. So, this Shabbat draws its name from the first 2 words of the prophet Isaiah, and the series of prophetic readings continues for 7 weeks with a message of increasing hope and contentment. The prophetic readings leading up to the 9th of Av were only 3 in number, but the messages of consolation are more than twice that number. The prophet himself notes that the comforting message will be granted in a double manner, Nachamu, Nachamu. And we receive 7 weeks of comfort to counterbalance 3 weeks of messages of doom and destruction. We are aware that there are many valid and varied reasons and motives for Jewish customs and traditions. All of these customs regarding the readings of these specific Haftarot and the reasons for them should not be treated lightly, and one should not dismiss them in a cavalier fashion simply because it may no longer seem appropriate to the situation today. Human life and behavior are too complex to attribute to just one motive and reason. This is true regarding all details and aspects of Jewish tradition as well. There are ample examples in the past and present society how the abandonment of certain customs that modernists felt to be anachronistic eventually led to violations of explicit Torah commandments and values themselves. Judaism should never be observed and viewed in a simplistic, superficial manner. It is far too grand for such a treatment. So, there is a profound and important lesson to be derived from the fact that the prophecies of destruction required only 3 weeks of public reading, while the prophecies of hope and consolation mandated a 7-week period of time on the calendar. Destruction requires far less time and effort to achieve its sad and nefarious goal. When the end comes, it does so with inevitability and swiftness. Great empires, powerful countries can exist for centuries, but are consigned to the dustbin of history in only a few decades or even a few years. It is so much faster and easier to slide down than to attempt to rise and rebuild and struggle forward. Rebuilding is a process, and it is never accomplished in an instantaneous or easy manner. There are many ups and downs that rebuilding will engender: disappointments, frustrations, and even, regrettably, some reversals. It will take much more time for the effort to comfort the Jewish people in its continuing effort to rebuild itself anew. At Betham, we face the same challenge. The Jewish world itself was almost destroyed in just a few years in just the past century. It takes time to rebuild. As we are experiencing, it is a continuing process along a very bumpy road. We should be comforted, though, realizing that the process has begun and is underway. There are many weeks and years ahead of us as we are a people and a congregation continue our quest to be comforted. But we are already blessed with the knowledge that we have reached this season of comfort and consolation, and we have come as far as we have come already. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Nachamu. There's a whole lot more to the Torah portion. It's the Ten Commandments are revisited, although in a different form than they were in Shemot. Believe it or not, the wording is different. We could get into that. We, of course, are introduced to Shema V'Ahavta again, because Deuteronomy is mostly repetitive. So keep that in mind when you show up tomorrow, and when you show up every week for the next 7 weeks leading up to Rosh Hashanah. That is correct. Devorah, do you want to put out wine?
You want to do it afterwards?
You know what? We'll do it afterwards then. Since she wanted to do it afterwards. I told you she's the brains behind this operation, not me. Any comments, any discussion? We are obviously not late tonight, because I try not to be. We will say Ami Shabbat for those who are ill at home or in the hospital, hopefully improving. We will use the Debbie Friedman version, which you will find in the inside back cover of your Siddur. You know our custom in between the first and second paragraphs. I will recite the names of the congregation's Mishaberach list, and then I will ask you to put any additional names you would like by simply raising your physical hand. We are no longer on Zoom, so you cannot use a digital finger. Tom knows exactly what I'm talking about. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekora Bracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. On the congregation's Mishaberach list are Henry Birch, Bruce Burpee, Amelia Cooley, Gordon Feinberg, Etta Goldberg, Rohan Granoff, Donald Ingram, Rita Kindle, Steve Lifshin, Dom Salfi, Loretta Schur, Izzy Sigmund, Saul Stein, Bill Thompson, Peter Teitelbaum, Nancy Town, Herb Weissman, Label Ben Margalit, Liba Shlomi, Rachel Bat Margalit, Feivel Shlomo Ben Dvorah, Yisrael Ben Ethel, and Avraham Ben Masha. If you have anyone's name that you would like to add, of course.
Adelina Williams, Bruce Dash, Audrey Dash, Teresa Calla, Estelle Vladimirsky, Jill Klein, and Jeffrey Grasso.
Lynn?
Drew Wartenberg, Oliver Pridemore, and Barbara Gable.
Jeff?
Clinton, Forrest, Don, Eddie for Yosef, and then Rafaela, Simon Matt, Barbara Bogle, John Parker, Paul Belenthal, Will Smith, Elena Devoe, and Cindy Wilbur.
Katie?
Me, Aviva Esther.
Aviva Esther. Anyone else's name we need on the Mishaberach list? We will conclude. Mishaberach imotenu Mekora bracha lahavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Very, 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 very good. Very good. Now I have to go backwards in my Siddur. Most of you are probably faster than I am. What service are we doing? Friday night. That's right. The Ma'ariv service. Okay. We will do a kiddush after services in the back. And yes, we have prepared individual cups of kosher wine for anybody who would like to say kiddush. Keep in mind, you do not say the blessing if you don't fulfill the blessing. So to say Kiddush without drinking wine, we don't do that. Nor do you say Motzi without eating bread. So if you're going to say Kiddush, we have wine for you. You are welcomed. If you don't want to drink it, don't. It is, what is it? Manischewitz? It's the kosher for Passover stuff that you drink on Passover, and after 4 glasses, you've got a headache, the likes of which you've never had in your life. Yes, yes, yes. I caution that. I caution that. But we brought for everybody. Conclusion. We rise for Aleinu. On page 118, this is east. Yes, yes, here we face east. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'ateit gelula liyotzei bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, and we bow. V'anachnu korim, ומסתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו ובזולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום, וחשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ, מתחת עינות. על כן נפל אלוהינו, כבוד יחד. ידעו כל יושבי תבל, ככתוב בתורתך, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom ahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. For those of you in live stream land, they might have noticed something a moment ago that you did not notice because you were facing east. I needed to pull up the names of the congregants for whom we are saying Kaddish, and it was on my phone. So forgive me for using my phone. Y'all don't know I did it, so I'm apologizing to the live stream crowd. This week, what are you sneaking up on me for? This is very intimidating. Oh, announcements. Got it. I'm not thinking ahead. I thought this, I didn't know, maybe I was being fired. This week at Congregation Betham, we observed the yard site of Frank Morris. Is there anyone's name I did not mention? Is there anyone observing a yard site for anyone else? Those observing a yard site, those reciting Mourner's Kaddish, please join me and rise on page 124 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah. V'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru. Amen yehei shmei rabbah mevarach. Le'olam olol me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha. Barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiram bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Now, if she trusts me, I did wash my hands yesterday. I'm going to hand the microphone over to one of our co-presidents for announcements And we're going to stay 6 feet away, so you're going to have to reach out. I'm only kidding. I'll get 5 feet away.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Talk into the mic closer to your mask so the people in live stream land can hear it.
We'll try this again. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. David. And welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening for services. And thank you to those of you who are live streaming with us this evening as well. First, I want to thank Mark for leading us in a very uplifting service this evening. Thank you so much. And please join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 as we continue with our services. Next Shabbat, July 30th and the 31st, Rabbi Barnett will be back with us to lead Shabbat services. Just a few quick announcements. August 15th is coming fast, and we do have a timeline for getting the orders in for, not the orders for the Book of Remembrance. That's our Yisker book, so there's still time if you want to take out an ad in the Yisker book, and the information is out in email through Constant Contact, or you can contact Jackie Levine, and she'll be more than happy to talk to you about how you can take out an ad in the book. As we move into August, we have some exciting activities coming up. Most of you know that on August 13th, that is going to be our official open house for Congregation Betham in our new location. And then on August 14th, we're going to have a very special musical Havdalah at the home of Eric and Lisa Alpert, and there will be information coming out about that soon. And then that Sunday, August 15th, we're going to be having some sort of an activity with Rabbi Barnett, and it's going to be hosted by the Men's Club. So please save the date for these exciting events. Also, we're going to be starting up Mitzvah Brigade again. So again, please save the date for Sunday, August 22nd, I believe, and that will be our first Mitzvah Brigade meeting. So there's a lot going on, and our ritual committee is hard at work making plans for the High Holy Days, and we'll be getting information out about that very soon too. Again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Bonus points. Today is a minor holiday in the Jewish calendar. It starts tonight at sundown. It already started at sundown. Not Shabbat. Who can tell me besides Debbie, because we talked about this in the car here, what's today's holiday? Okay. Tisha B'Av. That was last week. It's a sad day. You were not paying attention to my Devar Torah, where I talked about the Haftarot of consolation leading up to Tisha B'Av. Now we're on the other side. Yes, it is the month of Av. How many people know their numerology, their Hebrew numerology? Raise your hand. For those out there in live stream land, everybody raise their hand. It's absolutely amazing how knowledgeable this congregation is. Frighteningly knowledgeable. You can't see them, but they all raise their hands. This is the 15th day. It starts the 15th day of the month of Av. It's Tu B'Av. And it is a celebration of love. This is a day when weddings are celebrated. It's the equivalent of, if Valentine were not a saint, it would be the Jewish equivalent of Valentine's Day. So go out and kiss a stranger with a mask on. Or, I'm joking about the kiss a stranger part. I'm not joking about Tu B'Av, okay? It is a minor holiday, but a very joyous holiday following on the heels of a very sad day, the 9th of Av, which we would not celebrate with kissing anybody. Yes, today is Tu B'Av, so have a great, tell somebody you love them. I love you all. That's not true. And I would be remiss if I did not say that Sukkot is coming up, and one of the announcements our co-president did not say is, if you want to purchase a lulav or an etrog, I know there was so much to say, it was almost longer than the service, you'll get a constant contact email about ordering a lulavim and etrogim. And it's not Sukkot if you don't have your own lulav and etrog. And Tom Mayer got a great price on them. So that's terrific. So get yours while you can. It's Tu B'Av. I already told you that. I told you to get your etrogim and you love him. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I forgot. I hope there isn't. If not, come back tomorrow and we'll talk a little bit more. We will conclude with Yigdal. Don't run away because we're going to conclude the service and close our Siddur. But we're going to stay where we are. We're going to chant Kiddush for Shabbat. And then if you look behind you, you will see at incredibly social distancing, there are filled cups. And Debbie wore gloves while pouring the wine, I will have you know. As a physician, there's no shortage of gloves in my house. So we will conclude with Yigdal, then do Kiddush, and then you may leave and go out in the rain. By the way, you said there's some outdoor activity planned in August with Rabbi Barnett? Something on a Sunday?
She didn't say it was outdoor.
Oh, some celebratory event? Something fun?
Something fun.
Are you open to suggestions? Jello wrestling? Just a thought. I'll let you know a little secret. Sheila will come. I don't know that she'll participate, but the response I got, she'll definitely be there. So, I mean, it's not been done before, but I want you to, whoever's in charge of fundraising, that's Mark right down here probably. Jello wrestling? He's not listening to me. No. Who said Jello shots? Raise your hand. Was that Tom or was that Mona? Because I couldn't tell with the mask on. Fine, Jello shots, that's Tom Mayer's suggestion.
Technically, Jello is not kosher.
You know, it isn't. And if you ever tried that kosher Jello, it does not gel. It's just awful stuff. Good point. We're not going to be doing that. We will chant Yigdal. You know what the last syllable of every line is? To. So if you're not going to sing, at least respond, okay? Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yenedel edel mitziu. Thank you. Echad v'yen yachid keyichudo nelam v'gam ein sov le'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'ein o guf lo na'aruch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra Rishon v'yein reishi lereishito Hino Adon Olam v'chol notzar Yodeh gedulato malchu Tozevad v'vato netano El anshe segulato v'tifar Lo kam b'Yisrael kemo she'od Navi u'ma'abid et temunato Toratem et natan le'amoel Aya nevi'o neman beito Lo yachal yifael v'lo yamir dato Le'olamim lezulato Sofer v'yodea setarenu Mabit lesof davar bekadma To gomer ish chesed Kemifalo noten l'rashara kerisha To yishlach hageit yamim Meshichenu Lifto mechake ket Yeshua To metim Yechael Berov chasdo Baruch atei Shem tehilato Metim Yechael Berov chasdo Baruch atei Shem tehilato. If you would like, let us go back, get a glass of wine, and then come back into the auditorium. Let us do that. So you can say the blessing with a cup of wine in your little hands, in your little hentelach. Your yadayim. Yadayim, hands, yes. And then come on back, don't leave. And only take one, all of you alcoholics. Just one. And for those of you in live stream land, you can't see this, but they're all rushing to the back of the auditorium to get their glasses of wine. All except for Sheila, who's standing right next to me. I guess she doesn't drink. I don't know.
Oh, you have so far to drive.
Morris got two. He's a two-fisted drinker. It is kosher wine. I apologize for that. And even though we have a mask mandate, I will encourage you to simply take your mask off to drink it after we have said the bracha. Okay? Together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'mikrei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu bocharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Please, take off your mask long enough to have a drink.
Wine is good.
You know, that really wasn't so bad. I can tolerate little cups of it. That being said, Shabbat Shalom. Come back. Joni Mayer, our co-president.
I forgot to say one thing. We want to thank our Shabbat team for setting up today. Tom Mayer, Mark Lichtenstein, Jackie Lichtenstein, and Lois Smith. Thank you so much.
And we want to thank the people at Life Point for hosting us. They have been more than gracious. Setting up the audio, setting up the video, something we have been totally ignorant of for a very long time. We're getting the hang of it. This is only our second time, right? Tom and I were here for an hour or so in the middle of the week, trying to get the things together. Wave to the guy in the booth in the back, say, Toda Rabba. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you all back here, same bat time, same bat channel, next Friday at 7:30, tomorrow morning at 9:30. Shabbat Shalom. Please drive safely, stay safe, and remember when you come back here, at least temporarily, it is a mask mandate. We'll see what happens with Seminole County as time moves on. Thank you.